At this meeting, all the meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that citizenry may be aware of the time and place and agenda of this meeting. We'll open it up with a roll call.
Nadowski,
Here.
Rasmussen,
Here.
Brunner is not present.
All right, next I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 11th meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Citizens appearances, we do not have any today. And now we're on to engineer report.
Item number one is the wastewater treatment plant construction update. Work is progressing, everything's out of the ground. The site's rough graded back, so it's starting to look like the old plant again. So everything's is moving along very well. We're looking at completion, I think May, somewhere around May, with a month or two for tune-up and so forth. So it's all on schedule right now, moving forward. The contractor has pay request number 8 in for the amount listed. And if there's any questions on the amount listed or the work completed, I can answer them, or Don can answer them.
Okay. And then is this one same as usual with the waiting on the receipt of the lien
Yes,
waivers?
contingent upon the lien waivers.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve pay request number 8 for $666,055.25 contingent upon receipt of the lien waivers.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Municipal building parking lot reconstruction, I'll give you just an update on that. We had a design meeting this afternoon. We went through the project. We will be putting it out for bids next week. And then we'll open bids on March 10th, Thursday, March 10th. That'll give us a couple days to review the bids, but then also give you some ideas of what the cost is going to be if anybody wants additional work done around their buildings.
Okay.
And then we'll bring it to Public Works Committee for a recommendation to go to council on the 21st.
Nice.
So things are moving along with that. We've got the parking lot, we've got the sidewalk on West Main Street, we've got the sidewalk repairs by well number 3, and we've got the manhole. Some manhole castings or rings are busted up, and a little bit of settlement around there. So
As part of that, are we hitting that one out on Alfred Street too?
third well number 3.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. Yeah. Good. Sounds good.
So that's what we've got there. Patrick, you had something on discussion on 2016 CIP construction projects.
Just a quick update. We're talking about all of our construction projects right now.
Yep.
For 2016. I think what we're going to take a look at is once we finalize the borrowing on City Hall, which has to be by July. I would like to get a better idea what our payments are going to be, what our debt capacity is going to be, and that'll help set for the next 3, 4, 8, 10 years what we can probably do. Because for the first 2 years, 3 years, we're probably looking at about $500,000 and what the state will legally allow us to borrow. On top of the money we already have borrowed, you
Yeah,
put
'cause
City
we
Hall on there, and then,
2017 and 18, you got 2 coming off, right?
yes.
Okay.
And then 2022 is when all the debt we have outstanding today is paid off by 2022. And so then from there, it'll be, the sewer plant and the City Hall. But right now, the state gives you like a borrowing limit. It's set on your equalized value.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck about $4.5 million is what we can borrow. I don't say stuck, but we're restricted at $4.5 million.
Okay.
So if we start doing the math on City Hall, as we pay that down, we'll get some more relief.
More relief. Okay.
As AgriPure builds and other people build in town, they bring the value of the city up. That helps that formula too on our borrowing. So I think that's going to help. There's a lot of bigger projects, road projects. Some of them we can pay cash for, but until we get lined up with what our borrowing is going to be and what we're going to be able to borrow for.
Probably want to hold on to that until we know for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Okay.
But for 2016, which is the most important right now, we're already dealing with a lot of these. We're putting them out to bid. City Hall and that's all under construction. The big thing would just be, when we start looking at our forecasting for our financing payments, what our projects are. Just know that we're looking at that stuff. Hasn't come to you yet. mainly because we're trying to make sure that the CIP is actually something that's got some thought into it rather than just throwing things out.
Well, you threw some money in there in the budget for capital improvements, right?
Yes, yeah, we've got
So you've-
we've got $250,000 a year that we set aside in cash. So
Right.
it's not to say we're gloom and doom.
Right.
And we set aside a good chunk, and we pay cash for a lot of things too. You know, the Alfred Street, our share was all cash when they redid that. The utilities were all cash too. We didn't borrow on Alfred Street, so it's those kinds of things that
Good.
those are good things too. So it's the debt limit is one factor, but we've got money to do other things too.
Then the other item was the treatment plant, CSM.
Yeah, the
That's on hold.
The CSM, we've got the negotiations to sell the land to Agripure. The CSM is identifying what the property lines are going to be, which will then set how much is going to be able to be sold to Agripure. One of the things we're looking at right now is with our garage and whether we should maintain ownership while we use it or whether Agripure could own it if we sell it. And then we would just use it. I mean, that's gonna dictate where the property line goes. I think the point we're at is we'll be able to set a clean property line and the garage will probably be theirs, but we'll be able to use it for a set number of years, 3-4 years at least. So I think we're good on that. It's just really sort of being held up while we finalize the lot and the sale to Agripure. Okay.
So that's the engineer's report.
Good to go, thank you. All right, next we have discussion and possible action on Emerald Street parking lot quotes.
So in your packet, you do have just a quick diagram. In general, we got some quotes to excavate the area where we took the trees down last year. And as a reminder, we were paid for those big trees to come down. And what our heads up was that was probably the last year that AAA Hardwoods or anybody might come in and harvest and pay us for them. And after that, they get to a point where we have to pay to take them down. So again, we didn't pay to get those down. Some of the smaller ones that we trimmed up, we paid for some of that. But the hardwood, the taller trees, we got paid for. What's left then now is a bare surface. One of the thoughts we had was to at least start a gravelled area for parking. One of the other things that was important that I know the mayor had brought up was to maintain green space in that area if we can. And so what you see on a quick diagram is in general what we had asked for quotes on. And they're both in writing, the quotes are both written quotes. But what we're looking at is the red area is closer to the top of the hill is where we would have a gravelled parking area. So we wouldn't look to pave it this year. But before you can pave it, you'd end up having to have a gravel base, to get started anyway. The problem we're going to have in this area then is the drainage, where before you had the trees and a lot of green space that was going to soak in a lot of that maybe runoff. Here what we're looking at is a green space so that we don't have cars parking all through there. But then it's also going to serve as something of a drainage area. Now when we get to the blue area up on top, we're looking right along the fence line. What the thought is when they start to scrape the topsoil off, Fox Brothers is proposing that they would scrape that all the way to the bottom and start to build something of a berm. And now when we say small pond, it's not so much a pond as it is maybe like a bowl that can be constructed down there. So then the water doesn't run all the way down there and then soak into the gentleman's yard, the backyard. Potentially we could have some minimal cost in building that berm with existing material, and then the water at least be held there before it soaks in. A lot of it's pretty sandy through there, so I mean it soaks in pretty good, but we'd want to have something that would at least stop it. Long term, I think what we have to look at is Emerald Street in general. It's only about a lane and a half wide.
Yep.
So if there's going to be more traffic up in there, we'd want to widen that street out. And the long-term solution here is not to build tiny berms and ponds. It would be to upgrade storm sewer in there if we have issues. Again, this is probably more of a cost-efficient solution for now because it's going to use the material we would otherwise scrape off. Rather than trucking it away, they're going to scrape it, build a berm. We have the quotes here. Fox has the low quotes, $9,700, $9,775. Lind Excavating had in a little over $11,000. Recommendation would be to recommend approval of Fox, and then what we would do is, as they're working on this berm area, we would be watching to make sure that what we're intending to do with the stormwater there is actually going to happen. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess the one question I had is, my understanding was we wanted the overflow parking because of the baseball diamond, right?
Yeah.
And the park in general, I mean,
So I
we've
thought that
got
they
a
were
lack
gonna
of
do it
parking.
over there.
Well, so the ball, so this is, it's as far north as we can get.
Okay.
And the stop sign, what you can see, what you don't really see here is at the end of that street, there's the trail with that restroom.
Okay, that's the.
We're right
okay.
up, yep, we're right up.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of green space because there's
So
some
there really
nicer
isn't
trees
any
there.
space up there because that's all blocked off, isn't it?
It's blacktop. This is actually where the blacktop parking is, right in here.
Okay.
So and I could have zoomed out a little bit more, but the swim lake is here. We fence it off, and then right on the other side of the fence, this is actually the parking right here.
Is there going to be?
We got the two
What's
shelters up here, you know.
Is there any chance for the travel to go into the lake then?
This
Mess
is no,
that
it's
up?
all fenced all the way here. There's a gate here, an old gate. Mm-hmm. I mean, potentially down the road, maybe we could do that. But the problem is all
I'm
of
just
our
saying that
ticketing and
this
everything
isn't
is.
gonna. The runoff in here isn't gonna have any
Oh
potential
no,
to go
no,
that way. Into
no, because there's going to be a ridge.
Okay.
We're going to have some green space in between the fence. Probably the idea there would be to plant some trees back where we took trees out. But this, they're going to dig this down so that it's.
More
I mean, it's
flush.
sort of bowled all the way down. Yeah, it's like a spillway, I guess, down. I hate to say that, but no, this is higher. This land right here is higher than what this gravel area would be.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of my question. I just want to make sure we weren't gonna cause problems with that then next.
Right. And that's why when we really start to take a look at this before it's finalized, we'd make sure that
The grading's where we want it.
yeah. And really, in general, right now, all the water comes right down the middle, and then it tails off down here into the guy's backyard. That's how low. Down here, it's really low, so it's naturally going down that way. Where up here, we have it built up around the swim lake. We've got it built up so that the water in the swim lake doesn't do the opposite of what your
Okay.
question was. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No.
That's why that's built up higher.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a trail coming off of the parking lot so people wouldn't be walking on the roadway? Or is
There's a trail that comes into the restroom here. I mean, what we could probably do is connect something here.
yeah, I was just thinking to keep people from walking on the road. I mean, right now
This
it's
is all
probably,
grassed,
you know,
and we mow all this right now anyway. So this is the section where we've mowed around. But if we had to put something in here, if we needed to finish a trail, do something there.
yeah, and that's something we could do with gravel too for temporary purposes until.
Yep.
All right. Scott, you got any questions?
Nope, I've seen it over there. I understand what you're doing.
Okay.
I had that same situation when I used to live over there, and when they tore that house down and put that parking lot in by the church, there was just no way it
Drained
wasn't
right
gonna
in.
flood my house out. But foxes got in there when Randy and the guys eyeballed it, and they did a beautiful job making it so it
Good.
drained correctly. But they had to raise, by me anyway, they had to raise that one side up.
Okay.
And there's quite a bit, if this takes off and this becomes a busier area, there's quite a bit that we probably have to upgrade there anyway.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. So I'm glad you said that first because if you're gonna put a parking lot there, we have to look at that
Yep. Oh yeah.
pretty soon.
For sure. For sure. Yep. And we've already been looking at that street anyway, well before we
Upgrade
had
the
cut down the
nature trail
trees
that we
too.
have there.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Out of curiosity, did we get a lot of money for the lumber?
It wasn't $2,000, it was under $2,000, so.
Kinda hoping I'd pay for that, but
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for too. But the big thing, what they kinda had told us was that for all those trees that were in there, we were probably looking at about $1,500 a tree to take them all down, or to take each one down.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So
I'm
that
sure.
times about
Yeah, we came
30
ahead
trees
on
that
it,
were
it's
stuck
just-
in there, we would have been, that's where the expense probably would have
Yeah,
been.
yeah.
Politically, I know sometimes it's nice to say, well, we saved all this money though. We're not getting
Yeah.
money, but we saved money. But in theory, I think we really did on
Yeah,
that.
we did, yeah.
So.
Plus we saved the ongoing cost of cleaning up that.
Yeah, it was $1,500 a crack to cut and spray through there
Yep.
twice a year.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Yep.
Now it's on film.
And it didn't look very good. Yeah, yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve Falks Brothers for the parking area improvements.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have our administrator and operations supervisor report.
Just a quick note on my end, we've been dealing with construction and then paying for our construction. On the treatment plant, we had taken out the interim financing, and I believe that by next February, we have to take out the final financing, or at least get it lined up. We're going through the DNR, the Clean Water Fund. And then just the only thing that's impacting Public Works would be the borrowing on City Hall. We do have to have our official borrowing and the final borrowing in by August of this year. So that's something that we're looking at right now is taking out the permanent financing. So that's one of the things that we're working on. It doesn't, not necessarily Public Works related, but because it deals with how we're paying for things and borrowing.
On the treatment plant next February, can it be paid off earlier? If we're done with the treatment plant this summer, we can get clean water funding.
Yeah, it can. Yeah,
Okay.
it can. Yep. Yeah, it's an interim. I think we had like 2 years on it. So there's a couple interest payments we've got. I think in May there's one interest payment we have, and then the full thing is due
Okay.
just in the spring next year. I think.
About the only thing I've got back in, it would be for our December report for the DNR. We had a violation of phosphorus limit. Is directly related to agri-pure discharge. They were having issues with their phosphorus removal, and it ended up causing us to have a violation within a couple of days, a couple of tests. It messed us up. Since then, they've been getting a little better, but they're still struggling over there with phosphorus removal. But we made permit in January by the skin of our teeth. And we went through a load of ferrochloride in a month, where we usually takes us 2 months to sometimes 3 if agri-pure is doing really well.
Is that neutralize the phosphorus? Is
Yeah,
that what
it
does?
removes the phosphorus from the water completely, and it ends up in the sludge, and that gets hauled to gets land applied. So it'll come up again probably on CMAR in the next few months, and you'll see that.
So do we need to do anything to, like when we have those occurrences, to like fine them?
We do fine them. We have a schedule that fines them $8 per pound over what their limit is.
It's part of our service agreement with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the fines for them for January probably are gonna cover probably $2,700 just for the phosphorus. So we do have.
Yeah, so at least covers.
It'll
The
cover.
majority
It
of-
covers about half a load of ferric, I would guess, or somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yep. The only other update I've got is with our snow removal program. Obviously, we have the county that's picked up some roads. We have a 2-year, not so much a contract with Fox Brothers, but they give us their rates and we approve them, and then we have like a shopping list for 2 years. That's going to expire at the end of this winter, and so probably in March, April, we're going to take a look at getting quotes for that service. I've had a couple people that have called me, not interested in all of the work that's required for us, but they've asked if they could do some parking lots or pick up some things. And with that, it's, again, 0 to 2 inches of snow. Usually we sort of handle it on our end. 2 to 4, in general, we'll have Fox Brothers out on the street just plowing it off the road. 4 inches plus is when we usually have the cleanouts where they come in. The problem is the snow doesn't like to follow times of the day, and so we really don't do a lot of the big clean out during the day when people are in town and parking. We wait till at night when there's a lot of snow. They start at 9, 10, 11, and then still takes them to 7 and 8. But the big thing is we rely on a lot of people to do things for us. We don't have all the equipment to just take care of it, and we won't get all the equipment to take care of it this next winter or the next winter probably after that. So we'll be looking at quotes. That's going to be kind of a tough thing to quote out, but I think we might just put it out in pieces and say, here's what we need. The only thing that we really have guaranteed is that the county is going to do these extra streets for us for the next 4 years because we signed a contract with them.
Yep.
And you'll remember when we went with the county, at the time I had told you that we were paying about $5,000 a mile for our snow removal program. That includes all the materials we buy, Fox costs, our own costs. The county had quoted to us that they could do it for $1,000 a mile to pick up some streets. Ideally, that would be nice if we could give them 14, 15 miles in town for 1,000. Because instead of paying 50, 60 grand, we could pay 15,000. But that's not, there's a balance in there where, Fox, I think, does a good job for us. They do what we ask them to do. That's a good thing. The problem is the weatherman isn't always accurate, so sometimes when it's supposed to snow 2 to 4, we have one expectation, and then when 8 inches show up, and you sort of scramble, and that's kind of what we've had, not to make excuses, but the first 2 big snowstorms we had, all the information we had that we verified with Fox was that it was going to snow a certain amount. And so we call and we line up their guys to get rest and then come in and do what we think we need done.
Yep.
And then it snows more. So, and we've had probably in three falls, we've had probably 20 inches, 21 inches of snow in the last month and a half. And I think in general it's been going pretty well, but snow is never fun because our schedules can never align. And when you shovel your driveway, your schedule probably doesn't align with ours either, and I mean we're getting through it.
Notice anything out of the
That's
ordinary
right.
for winter.
I think one thing we gotta remember with a service like that is years ago we had the county do it, and they did a good job plowing. We still had to call Foxes in to haul stuff away.
Yep.
Foxes is a complete package.
Yep.
The county might underbid them as far as plowing streets, but then what are they gonna bid? If we gotta call them, and how big a hurry are they gonna be in
Yeah.
to come and clean clean the piles up and haul
Oh, yeah,
away?
that's probably
so.
the other thing that's,
And that's with anybody bidding, I know a lot of guys with pickup trucks and that say, well, I could plow that parking lot. Yeah, you can, I'm sure you can do a real good job, but
Can't
once you
haul
got
it
that
away.
pile on the end,
Yep.
where are you gonna
Then
go?
we're stuck with it there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's something I gotta look at, I guess.
Yep.
yep. I
Yep.
don't disagree with you. It's nice having somebody that's working for us too, so we can,
Yeah.
like you said, schedule the times.
Yep.
Try
And
to
the
get
full
on it
service.
anyway. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not a perfect scenario because weather isn't perfectly predictable.
Yep. I mean, the best thing would be we own everything. We can schedule our own staff to go out and do it, but that's just not feasible. I
We
mean,
don't
it's
have
not.
people
We
for
can't
that.
do that. We're not in that situation. So, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't. I mean, it still gets done pretty well. It gets done. Everybody that we've called to do snow has done what we've asked them to do, and I think that's the important thing. It's shopping it out is because we just have to do that.
Yep.
Just like every other service we've been doing, and we'll go from there. But that's just a heads up that that's in the next couple months when we're talking about snow removal for next year. It's because our contract or our shopping rate list with Fox is up. Okay. That's all I've got. The next
You got?
That's all I got.
the March Public Works meeting, then we would be setting it for March 14th.
Sounds good.
And the thought would be with finance that we'll keep that lined up for March 14th too,
Okay.
right after.
All right.
One of the things we might look at is, so now we went and toured City Hall before these meetings tonight. The treatment plant's a little bit different because there's stuff going on everywhere, and I don't know, I'm not sure on a tour.
Make Mary Jane go along and get her in some of them.
Good, yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting to a point now. Pretty soon, they're starting to put lights in places. So,
Yeah.
if we do get a tour at some point, we'll be able to see what's going on, especially in the basement of the new building. But yeah, it's getting closer. Tomorrow, they're gonna start taking out the old belt press. Start installing the new press. I think is supposed to arrive later next week. So, a lot of stuff happening. I think the generator's supposed to arrive later this week.
Nice.
So,
That'd be a good monkey off our back too.
yeah, that's gonna be. That's a big deal.
Good. All right. Anybody got any other such matters? All right. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We gotta do a roll call.
So,
Aye.
nope,
All right.
you can
Done.
just do a simple, and it is 6:40.